Hi, I'm Pete and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm. This afternoon I'm going to do some digging. I'm going to extend some water line, and the wellhead is right there. You can see that little kind of whitish pipe, and then if we come around here, the pipe goes right through here and goes to this hydrant over here that we use to water the garden, and then it feeds the heifer tank and the cattle tank. Well, I'm going to bury a water line out through here to the heifer tank beyond, so that I don't have to drain hoses in the winter anymore. You can see what I do in the summer. I string this hose up here so it's off the lawn, and it's about a 100-foot run. The hose comes right along here and feeds the heifer tank. The main stock tank for the main herd isn't a big deal because I only use that in the summer, and running a hose to that is not a big deal. It's not having to drain the hose in the winter. That'll kind of be nice. We have 4 frost-free hydrants scattered around the farm. I'm just marking where the water line, the angle of it is, going straight over to the well, because I'm going to have to find it with the excavator. And then someplace in here, the line runs out to the solar panels, the electric line. And I know it's 18 inches deep, and I think it's someplace in here, someplace. Not sure exactly where. I turned off the well pump, so if I hit the water line, it's not gonna gush too much. This, I think, the solar line that runs out to the panels has caution tape buried above it, so I'll be looking for that when I feel around for it. And of course, I flipped the disconnect switches on the solar power, so that line is dead. That's 2.5 foot. The line should be at about 4 foot. So I'll start being gentler now. This would be easier if I had a flat bottom bucket for the excavator, one without teeth on it, so that I could scrape without reaching inches into where I can't see, but I don't have one, and that's all right. I can see where the trench was dug before, because the topsoil line is different. It kind of does that, which means right down there where I'm scratching, the line should be right under there. Ah, there she is. This is 4.5 feet, which is right below this pin here, so that's my depth marker. 4.5 feet will be plenty. This ground is hard. I just keep scratching at it. This is the soil that came out of the bottom 4.5, 5 feet down. It is powder dry. Look at how dry it is down there. Wow. We're coming into the area where the solar conduit is now. Someplace here. there's the caution tape they buried above it, so we know it's right under here someplace. There it is. There it is. That was the second hard part. Let's see here. Why do Norwegian warships have barcodes on them? So when they dock, they can Scandinavian. There's nothing like a good joke, and that was nothing like a good joke. Hi, ladies. How are you doing this morning? 8:23:05. Oh. Yesterday was a rainy day, so I didn't get any work done, but today I'm gonna finish digging this trench, put in the new system. I'll spend a little time explaining to you and showing you how frost-free hydrants work and how rural well systems work. They're pretty simple, and then we'll have a nice dinner. Unfortunately, I haven't come across any buried Viking ships or gold Roman coins yet, but there's still time. What do you think, ladies? It's all done. At least the digging part. This is our well. It's about 40 foot deep total. It supplies all of our water needs, all of the livestock's water needs. And it's about 40 feet deep total. It goes in this steel pipe down about 14 feet till it hits bedrock. Then there's a seal on the bottom of the steel pipe, and then just a hole in the bedrock below that down to the 40 foot total depth. Wells around here are pounded. They're not drilled. They actually pound through the bedrock when they make the well. Down at the bottom of this well, there's a submersible well pump, and this pipe that you see here is the power line, which comes up and then goes down to the well pump below. And then 4 foot below ground here is the pipe that the pipe that I'm going to put in, the same deal, that comes into the well through what's called pitless adapter, so everything remains below freezing depth. The pipe from the well comes into our house right here in the basement, and this is our pressure tank. What happens is when the pressure in this tank gets too low, there's a switch at the bottom, a pressure switch, that tells the well pump to turn on and start pumping. And then when the pressure in the tank gets to about 60 psi, it tells the pump to shut off. Inside this tank is a rubber diaphragm, so the tank's kind of like a balloon. When the pump is on, all the water comes in and pressurizes that balloon. Pump switches off, and then we have an amount of water in this tank under pressure until it gets to low pressure again, and then the pump switches back on. That's all there is to it. The wiring through the pressure switch heads out underground and directs the pump. I switched off the circuit breaker to the well pump, and now I just need to drain the pressure out of the system. We've replaced all of those components once in 30 years. One well pump, one pressure tank, one pressure switch. It's not a big deal to change them. You just open up the top of the well to take the pump out. That's the hardest one, I guess. Lift the pump out, put the new one on, drop it back in, wire it up, away you go. Now down the trench, I'm going to cut this existing water line that I dug up. They make special tools to cut these, but a hacksaw works just fine. Clean up the burrs with a utility knife. Here's the fitting I made up for in here. It's kind of funky because I got a line that's going to run off this way, so I couldn't just use a plain T. These are made out of bronze. This is 1-inch pipe. These are barbs to make a watertight seal to the plastic pipe, which is polyethylene. It's 1-inch polyethylene pipe. And I used that fancy tape, what's it called? Teflon tape, that's right, to make the seal here. When we first put the system in, we used galvanized fittings, and we had problems. I'll get to that later. 2 pipe clamps, hose clamps, pipe clamps. Warm this up a little bit to soften it. These clamps have to be stainless steel, of course. That's a 100-foot roll of 1-inch polyethylene pipe rated to 160 psi. Should be just enough here, but I'm starting to doubt it. Uh-oh. Oh no. Pull on. What the heck? Do we have an error in our calculations? This is a 4-foot freeze-proof hydrant, and I'll show you how it works. First, if you look down at the bottom, the top's there with the lever on it, but if you look down at the bottom, there's a hole here. This is a drain hole. And then also in the bottom, you can see that's the rubber valve that's right, it will be, above the fitting. From the lever end here, when I turn this on, it raises a rod right here. See? And that rod goes all the way down through the pipe and controls that seal that I showed you in the bottom. So when you raise the lever, the rod goes up, the seal goes up a little bit, and lets water flow up through the same pipe as the rod and out the spout. There's an O-ring seal here to keep water from spraying out where the rod comes out. These are completely rebuildable from above the ground. You don't have to dig them up. All you do is you take this off, and then you can pull the rod, you can rotate the head off and pull the rod with the seal on the bottom of it straight out the top, and then you can buy a kit that's got a new seal that goes on the rod. It's got new hardware to go in here because this wears some, and it's got a new O-ring. You don't have to dig it up to repair it, and repair kits are widely available. So we can put this together and in the hole. I got a bronze elbow to thread on the bottom of the hydrant. Tulip sounds just like her mom, Patty. There we go. The system should be all watertight again. I can turn on the water and we'll look for any leaks. Would have been nice if I'd turned the hydrant off before I turned the water on. Oh man. There you can see the little drain draining that drains the hydrant down so the water doesn't freeze in the pipe. As I said, there's three kinds of fittings for this piping: plastic, galvanized, and bronze. I used bronze. I used galvanized for the first hydrant that I put in back when we moved here 30 years ago. It rotted out in 10 years. The pipe didn't rot out to the hydrant, but the elbow did, and I had to dig it up in the middle of winter, of course, by hand, and replace the elbow with a bronze elbow. I don't use the plastic ones because I think that the fittings are at stress points, and I just think that bronze is stronger than plastic. So that's why I do what I do. I let the system sit for about half an hour and checked it for leaks, and it's not leaking. But I have a little trick here for bedding the hydrant. I was skeptical of this at first, but used it on 2 hydrants put in 10 years ago, and it's worked fine. Take this corrugated pipe, which has perforations in it, drain tile, wrap it around the hydrant, like so. Then take some duct tape, wrap it around the bottom of the pipe. This only works if you do a really crappy taping job. And then at the top of the pipe, I'm going to fold it in. Like so. Well, why don't you just cooperate with me here? I'm trying to impress people with my simple trick. Here's what I wind up with. I've created an airspace around the pipe with perforations, so when that little hole out down there drains, it's got free space to drain into and then gradually perk out into the soil through the pipe perforations. It's a heck of a lot easier than bedding it in limestone or river rock or whatever else you'd use. And like I said, I've had them in for 10 years and they work fine with this system. Pipe just gets bedded in soil. I try to make sure by sprinkling the bucket that no big rocks are in the bottom foot of the fill. There we go, all done. I'll let it settle over the winter and then I'll grade it off next spring. And then I can just keep a short kind of jumper hose to fill it in the winter. Easy. What's for dinner? Pork chops. I know, unoriginal, but they're still delicious. We have quite a bit of pork left in the freezer from the 2 pigs that we raised last year, summer of 2023. I like having well water versus municipal water. I like the independence and the self-sufficiency of it, and I don't mind maintaining our system. There's really not a lot to it. Now, I'd probably think differently if we had bad well water, if it didn't taste good, or we had supply problems, but we don't. We live in an area of the country that has an amazingly abundant fresh water supply, more than we could ever need here, and I'm thankful for that. Time to flip. I don't know how the numbers work out for having a well versus being on a municipal system. You know, I have to pay the electric for the well pump and I have to pay to maintain the system versus having a water bill. I have no idea. I am glad that we don't have municipal water here, because once water comes in, lot size can shrink for residential development and then you get sprawl. I don't want that around here. Water and sewer are the things that bring sprawl. Chops are done. Yep. Nice and juicy. Time for dinner, and I can check another task off the fall to-do list, getting ready for winter, and it should make winter a little bit easier this year. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.